Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video I'm going to be explaining exactly why and how Warlock can beat this Mr. Sinister in Act 6, and also we're going to be taking a look at some other interesting things about Warlock that I missed in my initial review. So here we're not using Heimdall synergy, however we are using synergy with Vision or any of the Ultrons basically, and that is the one that gives us Fury whenever we would be inflicted with a debuff that Warlock is immune to. So this node has caustic temper on it, so every hit has a 50% chance to poison us. Therefore, for most of the time, we're going to have the Fury active. Another extremely important thing why Warlock functions as well as he does in this fight is because his infections actually stack in effectiveness, and that also means that each infection reduces opponent's ability accuracy by 30%. However, 2 of them reduce it by 60%, 3 of them reduce it by 90%, and 4 of them reduce it by full flat out 120%, so no abilities would work. And that is why we're not getting shocked as well. So long as opponent has like 3-4 infections on him, he basically has pretty much no chance to place any shocks on us, and therefore it doesn't really matter how many debuffs we have. Also, we're not gonna get backblasted from the node. That's right, Warlock's infections also works against the nodes. I'm gonna demonstrate that later on in the video. Another important synergy that I'm using here is Warlock synergy with Cable, which basically gives me a 50% chance to apply additional infection charge thing whenever we would place one. So that lets me to maintain more infections on this Mr. Sinister. And now there is one trick to this fight, because if he has like 3 or 4 infections active on him, caustic temper isn't going to work either. Therefore I'm not going to get my Fury buffs with my Vision synergy. So whenever I need to refresh my Fury, I do need to pause the fight and kind of like make him drop down to 1-2 of these infection buffs, and then gain my Fury buff, and then kind of like go all ham on him, stack as many as I can to make sure I don't get shocks on myself, as we can see here, and basically finish off the fight. So you have to manage the number of infections you have on your opponent, and you kind of switch his abilities on and off as you please. But Warlock is a fantastic option against this Mr. Sinister, especially if you happen to be one of those people who do not have Heimdall available. So basically for this fight you need Heimdall and the bare minimum Vision. Also, it's worth mentioning that Vision by himself with Warlock synergy could absolutely shred this fight, just because of his power control mechanics and the fact that he would gain Fury then and there. So this is extremely valuable synergy. So even if you have like a 5-star Warlock that's not duped and not highly ranked, but you do have like OG Vision at rank 4 or rank 5, Warlock turns OG Vision into a perfect Mr. Sinister slaying machine. But now that this fight is nearly over, I just need to get in my last couple of hits now that I got Fury on. We're gonna check out Warlock and his abilities in some more of Act 6 gameplay. And we're going to be going straight to 6.11 and checking him out against no retreat opponents. So we are using some Warlock synergies here, but the base idea is, since infection reduces opponent's ability accuracy by 30%, so long as we get to about 3 infections, we don't have to worry about no retreat pretty much at all as well. So we're going to see that in this fight. We are just absolutely aggressively attacking this Electra, pushing her past level 2. She is on 3 infections now, and when it's time to bait out a special attack where most of the time you would be struggling with no retreat, as we can see there was not a single no retreat trigger active on us. Now at this point we have like 4 infections on Electra. That means she has absolutely 0 ability accuracy, and Warlock turns out to be one of the best champions when it comes to reducing opponent's ability accuracy, especially if you pair him with Cable synergy, because that lets you spam a lot more of your infections. Or alternatively, you can use Tech Power Boost and drop level 2 after level 2, and that will let you spam more of these infections as well. Now occasionally when you do drop down to less of these infections, obviously no retreat will trigger, but for most part you are able to completely shut down this node in Act 6 and many others. And now we're going to check out Warlock against Sabertooth, and this is also to demonstrate that not only his ability to shut down opponents' abilities stack up, but also his power drain from his infections stack up. Basically, if opponent is regenerating, they are also losing the power. However, the more infections we have on opponent, the quicker they are losing power. And if you play aggressive with Warlock, basically after dropping first level 2, you can just consistently keep opponent in the corner, do dashback intercepts, and they will never reach a bar of power. As we can see here, he also can chain into his heavy attack from level 2, which is extremely neat thing to have, especially once you are actually power draining opponent. But at this point, we are actively and aggressively attacking opponent, and Warlock's power drain is effective enough to completely shut down opponent's power. And as you can see here, he can't get to a level 1 no matter how aggressively we are striking him. So against opponents that regenerate aggressively, once you manage to stack up several infections, they basically will never reach a bar of power, and you don't even have to play passively in order to achieve that. Now, an opponent like Wolverine, who has occasional regen, we're going to be seeing much of the same fighting style, much of the same kind of like fight. First, we need to get the infection that obviously will shut down his regeneration. Additionally to that, his power is burning whenever he has regeneration active on him. However, with his ability accuracy reduction, he is not going to even be regening all that much either, but nonetheless, those two things combined let us be insanely aggressive, because whenever he does trigger regen, he's heal blocked anyways and he's power drained, and if there's no regen, there's no problem basically, right? As we can see here, a super easy quick fight in Act 6, utilizing his power drain, heal block, and all the other good stuff that this guy can do. And now we're going to take a look at Archangel fight against Caustic Temper. So much like in the fight against Mr. Sinister in Act 6, while you have synergy with the vision active that gives you a fury buff whenever you would be inflicted a debuff that you are immune to, you are bypassing Caustic Temper's 90% damage penalty. Additionally to that, as you can see here, we did trigger that no retreat once, unfortunately, just because we did not have enough infections stacked up on opponent yet. However, at this point, when he has 3 infections on him, we are dashing back and baiting and basically ignoring the no retreat node. And now, if and when we do want to get that fury buff active on us, we do need to make sure that he has basically no more than 2 infections. So it does take a little bit of getting used to how to play around these things, but that insane ability accuracy reduction combined with the fury you can get from Caustic Temper node basically makes Warlock an ideal counter to these nodes if you have Vision or Ultron on your team alongside you. So that's just another kind of like great piece of utility, because Caustic Temper is one of the problem nodes, and this synergy actually makes both champions that are good already in questing conditions great counters to Caustic Temper, because Vision can counter it as well perfectly with his power drain and just being immune to poison. So we can see here Warlock absolutely no problem dealing with Caustic Temper even against stacked opponents in Act 6. And another extreme kind of like a plus for Warlock is whenever you're facing opponents, most of the players actually still do have Willpower Mastery active on them, especially if you are like in semi-serious alliance, war alliance. So whenever you're going to be in alliance war, your infections will consistently and constantly drain opponent's power. You can choose to play kind of like passively with a lot of parries and therefore make sure opponent never gets to a bar of power, or you can go completely opposite route. You can choose to play as aggressively as you can, try and get to as many infections as you can on opponent, and then in return you're just going to be rewarded with insanely kind of quick turnaround on your infections, and you will be able to take down all opponents down insanely quick. So Warlock is going to be a really insane kind of alliance war attacker, especially against anybody that does have Willpower Mastery active. And as we can see here, like a really low level, low rank 3-star Warlock beat maxed out Aegon fairly easily. And another thing with the fact that his power drain is stackable, we're going to check him out against this regenerating Red Hulk that was a pain in the bottom for many of the players who are trying to explore 6.1. And basically the fact that he's permanently trying to heal will also mean that he's permanently going to be losing his power. And with that, as we can see here, he has 3 infections on him and he basically can never get to a full bar of power. Additionally to that, Warlock is perfectly capable of spamming his heavy attacks after his level 2, so that is definitely a useful bit of utility here as well. As we can see here, we can go straight up to heavy attack after level 2. Therefore, this fight that used to be hard for many different champions is just a kind of like comical clown fiesta of Warlock basically just going absolutely ham at this Red Hulk, because he can maintain insanely fast fighting style against any opponent that is in fact regenerating. So that was like super quick, super easy fight. Basically he was stuck in corner entire fight. We did not have to bother baiting out hardly any special attacks. And now we're just going to check out Warlock against Cable that also has Vigor on, but Vigor isn't going to be too kind of like important for this fight. It's just once again to show that playstyle that Warlock can be insanely aggressive, especially if opponent is regenerating, especially if you have that Cable synergy on your side as well. And so we have reached 2 infections now at this point. It is worth mentioning that I am using Captain America Infinity War synergy here with Vision as well, so that gives us even more kind of like room to be aggressive and opponent losing his power, because whenever he shoots a special attack, if he gets to 1, basically he loses all the remaining power he has. And yeah, so we can see that Warlock can absolutely shred through guys like that in Act 6, which is likely to be a reason why I am going to take him to rank 2. Now there was something weird, I wanted to leave this in the fight, because I did dexterity, but it still somehow caught me and it did hit me, but at the same time I was not kind of like stunned and I could evade out of Cable's level 2 afterwards. So that was definitely like a weird interaction that should never happen that way, because I definitely dexed it, and I definitely, even if it caught me, I should have suffered like the full level 2 attack. But yeah, that's just something to think about, I suppose. And now I believe the last fight in today's video is going to be in 6-5 against King Groot. And now this King Groot has like Limbero active and improved regeneration. The good thing about Warlock, obviously the one thing that everybody always talks about is number A, the fact that his heal block is passive, therefore opponents like King Groot can't get rid of it. Additionally to this infection being passive, and now when King Groot enters his healing phase, as we can see here, he is losing power, and that is in fact letting us spam more of our heavy attacks in corner because he's consistently losing power. So there are just like many kind of different little neat tricks which Warlock can utilize to fight opponents in different manner. Also the fact that heavy attack is just 1 hit makes him fairly great counter to 6-5 global node overall, just because you are able to drop your heavy attack straight after level 2. It's just 1 hit and you can typically chain several of those in, so you can fight for most pretty much as normal, drop your level 2 and then start spamming in your heavy attack. So at this point we have 5 charges active on us, but as we can see here, we are removing them at extremely quick pace. We don't have too much to worry about, and I don't kind of like particularly care that they're stacking up, because I know that I will be able to get rid of them relatively easily by the end of the fight, because once again, because of this consistent power drain, we are able to get in many dashback intercepts up against the wall and close out the fight quickly. Anyways, I hope you guys liked today's video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit all the buttons, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya.